Greenford, West London. A seemingly ordinary town filled with familiar faces and quiet routines. On June 6, 1991, this peaceful facade was brutally shattered. Penny Bell, a beloved local figure, was found lifeless in her car. This wasn't just another crime, it was a wound that pierced the heart of the community. The tranquility of Greenford was replaced with fear, suspicion, and a profound sense of loss. This horrific act left a gaping hole, a void that whispered of unanswered questions and a desperate yearning for justice. Penny was more than just a victim. She was a daughter, a wife, a mother, and a friend. Known for her warmth and generosity, she was an integral part of the community. The impact of her death resonated through every street, every home, every heart. The fear was palpable as neighbors grappled with the realization that such a brutal act could happen in their midst. The once familiar streets now seemed ominous, a constant reminder of the darkness that had descended upon their town. Penny's murder wasn't just a tragedy for her family, it was a tragedy for the entire community. It shattered their sense of security, leaving them grappling with a chilling reality. The question that haunted everyone was, who could have committed such a heinous act against someone so loved? The search for answers began, a quest for justice that would consume the minds and hearts of both investigators and the community for years to come. The investigation into Penny's murder was meticulous, but the trail seemed to run cold. The absence of a clear motive and the lack of concrete evidence left investigators baffled. The community, hungry for answers, clung to every whisper, every rumor, every speculation. Yet the truth remained elusive, shrouded in a veil of mystery that seemed impossible to penetrate. Penny Bell was more than just a name and a headline. She was a vibrant woman, full of life and love. As a devoted mother of 2 young daughters, she was the heart of her family. Her days were filled with the joys and challenges of raising her children, creating a warm and loving home for them. Beyond the walls of her house, she was a successful businesswoman, running her own thriving printing business. Her dedication and work ethic were admired by her colleagues and clients alike. Penny was a pillar of the Greenford community, known for her kindness and willingness to help others. She was actively involved in local charities, always ready to lend a hand to those in need. Her warm smile and infectious laughter brightened the days of everyone she met. She had a knack for making people feel seen and valued, leaving a lasting impression on everyone she encountered. But Penny's life wasn't solely defined by her roles as a mother and businesswoman. She had a passion for life, a zest for adventure. She loved to travel, exploring new cultures and embracing new experiences. She was an avid reader, always eager to learn and expand her horizons. Her thirst for knowledge and her vibrant spirit made her a captivating individual, someone who left an imprint on the hearts of all who knew her. The brutal way in which Penny's life was cut short left a gaping hole in the lives of those who loved her. Her daughters were robbed of their mother, her husband of his wife, her community of a cherished member. The pain of her loss was immeasurable, a constant ache that refused to fade. The quest for justice became a way to honor her memory, to ensure that her life, so full of love and purpose, wouldn't be forgotten. June 6, 1991, dawned like any other day in Greenford. But for Penny Bell, it would be a day that ended in tragedy. The day began ordinarily enough. Penny went about her usual routine, tending to her family and preparing for the day ahead. But something felt different. A sense of urgency, an unexplained haste seemed to hang in the air. Later that morning, Penny abruptly left her home, leaving behind unfinished tasks and a sense of unease in her wake. Instead of heading to her workplace, Penny embarked on a mysterious journey. She drove her powder blue Ford Sierra, a familiar sight in the neighborhood, towards an unknown destination. Her sudden departure, coupled with the unusual route she took, raised alarm bells among those who knew her. Where was Penny going? Who was she meeting? These questions lingered, unanswered, as the hours ticked by. As afternoon descended, Penny's family grew increasingly worried. Her absence was uncharacteristic, and the lack of communication fueled their anxieties. Frantic calls went unanswered, adding to the mounting fear. Little did they know that their worst nightmares were about to be realized. Later that day, Penny's car was discovered in a leisure center parking lot. The scene that greeted the first responders was nothing short of horrifying. Penny was found slumped in the driver's seat, lifeless. She had been brutally stabbed multiple times, her life cruelly extinguished. The violence of the act sent shockwaves through the community. The brutality of the crime, the senselessness of it all, left everyone reeling. How could this happen? Who could have done such a thing? The questions hung heavy in the air, unanswered, as the investigation into Penny's murder began. The discovery of Penny's car was just the beginning of the mystery. The car itself became a central piece of the puzzle, holding clues that investigators hoped would lead them to her killer. The powder blue Ford Sierra, once a symbol of Penny's independence and mobility, was now a chilling reminder of the violence that had been inflicted upon her. Found abandoned in the parking lot of the Gurnell Leisure Center, the car stood as a silent witness to the crime. Forensic teams meticulously combed the vehicle for evidence. Every inch was scrutinized, every fiber analyzed. Fingerprints, hairs, fibers, any trace of the perpetrator was carefully collected and cataloged. The car's interior told a gruesome story. Bloodstains on the seats and the dashboard painted a grim picture of the struggle that had taken place. The violence of the attack was evident, leaving no room for doubt about the killer's intent. The car's location added another layer of intrigue to the mystery. Why was Penny at the leisure center? Was this the intended destination, or had she been taken there against her will? The questions piled up, each one leading to a dead end. Investigators scoured the area, hoping to find witnesses or any trace of the killer's movements. But the trail seemed to vanish into thin air, leaving behind a web of unanswered questions. The abandoned car, with its gruesome cargo, became a symbol of the unsolved mystery. It served as a constant reminder of the life that had been brutally taken and the justice that remained elusive. The car, once a symbol of Penny's vibrant life, was now a haunting relic of a crime that had shaken the community to its core. It stood as a silent plea for answers, a desperate call for justice that continued to echo through the years. In the hours leading up to her death, Penny's movements were shrouded in mystery. One key detail that emerged was a mysterious meeting she had arranged for that fateful morning. Penny had informed her family that she was meeting someone in a nearby location, but she never disclosed the identity of this individual. Who was this mystery person, and what was the nature of their meeting? These questions became central to the investigation, as police sought to unravel the events that led to Penny's murder. Investigators explored every avenue, trying to identify the person Penny was supposed to meet. They interviewed friends, family, colleagues, and anyone who might have had knowledge of her plans. But the mystery person remained elusive, their identity a blank slate in the puzzle of Penny's final hours. Was this meeting related to her business? Was it a personal matter, or was it something more sinister? Adding to the intrigue was a significant sum of money that Penny had withdrawn from her bank account that morning. The purpose of this withdrawal remained unknown, further deepening the mystery surrounding her final hours. Was this money intended for the mystery person she was meeting? Was it a payment, a bribe, or something else entirely? The unanswered questions piled up, casting a long shadow over the investigation. The mystery surrounding Penny's final meeting became a focal point of the case. It represented a crucial piece of the puzzle, a missing link that could potentially unlock the truth behind her murder. But despite the tireless efforts of investigators, the identity of the mystery person and the purpose of the meeting remained unsolved, adding another layer of tragedy to the unsolved case of Penny Bell. The investigation into Penny's murder was immediate and comprehensive. detectives from the Metropolitan Police descended upon Greenford, determined to uncover the truth behind this brutal crime. The initial focus was on gathering evidence from the crime scene, the abandoned car, and Penny's home. Forensic teams meticulously combed through every inch, searching for any trace of the perpetrator. Fingerprints, hair fibers, bloodstains, every piece of evidence was carefully collected and analyzed. The investigation extended beyond the physical evidence. Detectives embarked on a tireless quest to piece together Penny's final movements. They interviewed countless individuals, from family and friends to colleagues and acquaintances. Every detail, every interaction, every observation was meticulously documented and scrutinized. The goal was to create a timeline of Penny's final hours, hoping to identify any inconsistencies or suspicious activities that could lead them to her killer. Despite the extensive efforts, the initial investigation failed to yield any conclusive answers. The lack of a clear motive, the absence of a murder weapon, and the elusive identity of the mystery person Penny had planned to meet left detectives grappling with a web of unanswered questions. The investigation hit a wall, leaving the community frustrated and yearning for justice. The initial investigation, while thorough, left more questions than answers. The lack of a clear suspect and the absence of a concrete motive created a sense of unease and uncertainty. The community, desperate for closure, clung to every whisper, every rumor, every shred of information. The case, far from being solved, had only deepened in complexity, leaving a lingering sense of injustice that would haunt Greenford for years to come. As the investigation progressed, several individuals emerged as potential suspects. Each person had their own connection to Penny, their own secrets, and their own potential motives. One of the key individuals was Penny's husband. While there was no direct evidence linking him to the crime, the circumstances surrounding their marriage raised eyebrows. Their relationship had been strained, marked by infidelity and arguments. Could this have escalated to a point of violence? The question lingered, casting a shadow of suspicion over Penny's husband. Another individual who drew the attention of investigators was a builder who had previously worked on Penny's home. This man had a history of violence and had reportedly made unwanted advances towards Penny in the past. Could this have been the catalyst for a murderous rage? The possibility, however remote, couldn't be ignored. Investigators delved into his background, searching for any connection to the crime. A third individual who emerged as a person of interest was a former business associate of Penny's. This individual had a history of financial disputes and had allegedly threatened Penny in the past. Could this have been a motive for murder? The possibility of a business deal gone wrong, leading to a violent act of revenge, couldn't be discounted. Despite the emergence of these potential suspects, the investigation failed to produce any concrete evidence linking any of them to the crime. Each individual had their own alibi, their own story, their own reasons to be cleared of suspicion. The lack of a definitive link left investigators frustrated and the community grappling with the uncertainty of not knowing who was responsible for Penny's death.